The Victorian 1886 Crescent Hotel and Spa in Eureka Springs, Ark, hosts a wide variety of spirits. It is said that after the skeleton frame of hotel had been constructed in the 1880s, that one of the Irish stonemasons plunged to his death in what is now room 218. This room proves to be the most spiritually active room in the hotel and has attracted television film crews for decades because of the quantity and quality of the ghost sightings reported. Throughout the history of the Victorian Hotel, employees have referred to this entity as Michael, a classified poltergeist, due to the nature of the unexplained activity. Guests have witnessed hands coming out of the bathroom mirror, cries of a falling man in the ceiling, the door opening then slamming shut, unable to be opened again. The intrigue of this activity had drawn guests to specifically request the historic accommodations of room 218 for the chance of experiencing something. In the hotel's crystal dining room, many employees have encountered playful spirits in Victorian dress. One holiday season, while the dining room was closed, the grand Christmas tree and packages underneath moved from one end of the room to the other. The next morning, employees found the tree and packages moved with chairs circling and facing the newly placed holiday symbol. Another time, employees returned in the morning to find the dining room in perfect order, except for menus scattered throughout the room. Yet another time, a waitress looked into the huge mirror between the doors from the dining room to the kitchen and saw a man and woman in Victorian garb facing each other as in a wedding. The groom turned and made eye contact with the waitress, and then the couple faded away. The waitress quit her position shortly after this incident. Another commonly reported paranormal activity is a man in Victorian clothing sitting at a table near the window saying, "I saw the most beautiful woman here last night, and I am waiting for her to return." Many have recounted seeing apparitions in Victorian ball attire dancing around the room during the wee hours of the morning while the room was closed and dark. In the 1930s, the haunted hotel in Eureka Springs became an experimental cancer hospital. Dr. Norman Baker, claiming to be a licensed physician, examined cancer patients in the hotel's basement while charging unsuspecting families their life savings. Several apparitions from the hospital visit the hotel today. Dr. Baker has been seen in the hotel lobby. He is described as a man in a purple shirt and white linen suit, matching photographs of the infamous entrepreneur. A nurse pushing a gurney, residing in Dr. Baker's old morgue area, is known to squeak and rattle down the halls of the hotel. A hotel maintenance man witnessed all the washers and dryers mysteriously turn on the middle of the night. The laundry room is located next to Dr. Baker's old morgue, which still contains his autopsy table and walk-in freezer. Housekeepers report meeting Theodora in room 419. She introduces herself as a cancer patient of Dr. Baker's and vanishes after courtesies are verbally exchanged. Steve Garrison, a cook at the hotel, swears he doesn't drink on the job. In fact, he doesn't drink, period. However, Garrison may have been tempted by two strange encounters in the kitchen of the haunted hotel's crystal dining room. One morning, while slicing and dicing vegetables, he looked up and saw a little boy with pop bottle glasses, dressed in old-fashioned clothing and knickers, skipping around the kitchen. Another morning, Garrison flipped on the lights to begin the day's preparations when some or all of the pots and pans came flying off their hooks.
The Crescent Hotel has so many ghostly tales to tell that tours of this historic place in the Ozarks are held throughout the year.
The 1886 Crescent Hotel and Spa offers exciting ghost tours that have often produced some very spectacular tales. The guides themselves have many countless paranormal stories from their time at the hotel too. One such guide revealed that she had met a couple that was staying on the first floor near the governor's suite. The couple subsequently told the guide that on their second night in the building, they had slept with just a sheet covering the two of them. The husband then awoke in a deep sleep, realizing that someone or something had tucked them in with a comforter. Apparently, they had been tucked in on 3 more times that night. And another guide recounted an incident where 2 guests checked into room 221 one early spring afternoon. Upon leaving the elevator for the second floor, they immediately encountered a man wearing an all-black Victorian-style outfit. With a smile, he asked the guests as to whether or not they required help finding their guest room. Believing the person to be a hotel employee, they agreed. The man in the Victorian attire to them led the two to room 221, unlocking the door and pushing it open. As the couple entered, the man stayed outside the door smiling and tilted his head from side to side. One of the two realized they had not tipped the man, and when they spun around with some cash, he had seemingly disappeared. Perplexed, the 2 guests just relaxed in their guest room for the rest of the day. When they tried to re-enter room 221 later that evening, the door would not budge. The couple then descended down to the front desk, where they asked what was wrong with the key. The staff member stated that they had somehow received the key to room 321. The two described the man who had originally let them into room 221, and the staff member reported that no such person presently worked at the hotel. The century-old hotel is rumored to be haunted by an amorous Prohibition-era chambermaid. In perhaps an ill-advised move, I booked a stay with my family at what may be the U.S.'s most haunted hotel and one of its most notorious. The Skirvin Hilton, the grande dame of Oklahoma City, a sort of Waldorf Astoria in America's heartland, is an imposing 14-story Art Deco property from 1911 that's said to be haunted by Effie, a Prohibition-era chambermaid who jumped to her death with a love child fathered by hotel founder W.B. Skirvin. Such stories, like the tornadoes that plague the region, have swept through the hotel's English Gothic lobby into the city and beyond, most notably among visiting NBA basketball teams who have overnighted here before playing the Oklahoma City Thunder, only to experience inexplicable creaks, groans, cries, and ghostly molestations. There's the spooky, sad Effie, and then there's the Effie that wants to get it on to Barry White music, said Steve Lackmeyer, co-author of the book Skirvin, as we sat at the hotel's red piano bar. And with the NBA, it tends to be the latter. This is the most legendary ghost story in Oklahoma City, if not the entire state. You have even these famous people claiming they've had encounters with a horny Effie. Lakers forward Meta Sandiford Artiest, formerly known as Ron Artiest, claimed he was assaulted by an amorous ghost at the Skirvin in 2016. In 2010, Ed Curry, a 7-foot, 295-pound center for the New York Knicks, slinked off to spend most of his Skirvin stay in the room of 5'9", 180-pound teammate Nate Robinson for protection. Kyrie Irving, now with the Brooklyn Nets, has plans to star in a film about the Skirvin's hauntings. "I don't think it's haunted," said Petra Germany, the hotel's current artist-in-residence who makes cosplay weapons and armor. "I think NBA players are just a bunch of sissies." The words, "help me," have been known to appear on foggy bathroom mirrors. People will tell us their lights will flicker at night, or a closet door will slam unexpectedly, or there will be a creaking door, said Don Jackson, the Skirvin's director of sales and marketing. There are some haunted stories floating around out there about the hotel, but we prefer to stay away from them since they have never been proven to have happened. I mentioned to Jackson that a guest I met, who was attending a conference at the hotel, claimed her colleague discovered the words, "help me," written in the post-shower mirror fog. He responded, "We've had recent reports that that verbiage may appear in the mirror." Effie aside, the hotel has a colorful past. Its first manager is said to have shot himself in 1913, a suicide that was later investigated as a murder. A rigged roulette wheel and Prohibition hijinks fomented Wild West-style gunfights inside the place. But for hotel management, the legendary visitors of yesteryear, past guests include U.S. presidents, Dwight Eisenhower, Harry Truman, and Ronald Reagan, as well as Paul McCartney and Elvis Presley, is the true ghostly inheritance the property bears. The history and grandeur of the Skirvin are palpable, said General Manager Skip Harless. It feels almost haunted by, or heavy with the DNA of all those who have visited here, and all that has happened in this special, majestic place. "I must see it to believe it, gal," said Kelsey Huber, the hotel's express meeting manager, during an elevator ride. Raised in a funeral home, she said she's seen no evidence of paranormal activity during her 10 years at the hotel, beyond the costume-wearing Mary Kay conference attendees infiltrating the premises. "But never say never," she added as the lift's bell chimed. To get a more in-depth understanding of the hotel, I sought out Susan Riley, who, until recently, served as its in-house historian. During Riley's 6.5 years working at the hotel, she claimed she often heard a crying baby during her shifts, but later realized that when a side door was opened in blustery Oklahoma, it let in a banshee-like cry from the gust. Climbing up to the 10th floor, we searched to no avail for a bullet hole supposedly lodged near the elevator bank in one of the many Wild West-style shootouts, while, up on the 11th floor, a Do Not Disturb sign on the door handle flapped strangely, perhaps from a draft beneath the door. Riley added that a woman in a red dress, not always detectable as a phantasm, is said to lurk in the halls. "The acoustics are alive," she said, snapping her fingers as we reached the Venetian room, an ornate ballroom on the top floor. "This room has the most ghostly activity." She explained that she'd set up banquets here, only to return the next morning to find tables and place settings inexplicably disorganized. She wondered whether it could be explained by a recent uptick in earthquakes instead. Dr. Brian Farha, a professor and director of applied behavioral studies at Oklahoma City University, and the author of Pseudoscience and Deception, The Smoke and Mirrors of Paranormal Claims, told me he surveyed the Skirvin in 2004 to search for ghosts. My wife claimed she heard ghostly laughter some nights. "I walked every inch of every floor and found nothing of substance," he said. "And I did so under the creepiest of conditions, before the restoration, below freezing, with the electricity shut off, so a flashlight was the only means of visibility most of the time. Still, nothing was found. Just an old, empty, cold hotel. After my wife claimed she heard ghostly laughter some nights, Tiny McCoy, a ghost hunter who founded the Oklahoma Paranormal Association, which offers murder mystery dinners and ghost walks throughout the state, came by our room with her husband to investigate. "You can just lay your hand on the wood downstairs and feel the energy," McCoy said. "It's crazy." McCoy wielded her phone as she used the Ghost Tube SLS app to capture a green stick figure outlined sitting in the baby carriage, which was unoccupied to the naked eye. "A spirit," she said, "was sitting in our stroller. My daughter slept in the next room." McCoy scrolled through her various apps with care, as she'd recently popped a tendon in her right pinky after falling in the Raven's Gate, her occultist shop. "Possibly the result of a push from a demon," she said. She ran through tools to monitor electromagnetic fields, EMF, and record electronic voice phenomena, EVP, a periscope to track static electricity, a device used by fire departments to find hotspots, and an REM pod, and a geopod to track disembodied footsteps. Stepping into the hall, McCoy had her husband pull up his ghost hunting tools app that he claimed allows a spirit to attach itself to different frequencies and communicate intelligently in slow drips of language through a text box. She used her phone to scan the hallway for visuals. "It's a ghost, get out," read the words on the Ghost Hunting Tools app. A shiver ran down my spine. We walked through the hallway on the hunt and felt a temperature shift. Could it have been a draft? "It's a ghost," McCoy said, "an adult one." She noted that she felt a shiver from the top of her head down and showed me the goosebumps on her arm as we moved towards the elevator bank. "Seat" appeared on the Ghost Hunting Tools screen. McCoy, using Ghost Tube SLS, showed the stick figure outline of a tall figure seated on the jade green chairs in front of the lift. McCoy said it was a man in his late 20s named Charles, who was a contractor downtown pre-1950. She told me she felt a pain at the back of her head. Often, she explained, ghosts will want to indicate to the living how they died. Back down the hallway, we passed another cold spot in a slightly different location. I felt a shiver, and goosebumps again appeared on McCoy's arm. "It's coming from 813, she said, pointing to the door in front of us. "Pen" appeared on the app. Lowering my pen from my notebook, I then became sufficiently uneasy and decided I'd had enough. McCoy handed me a small perfume sample-sized glass container of protection potion, an olive oil base with a hodgepodge of herbs. "Your own shield in a vial," she said. That night, I kept a watchful vigil over my wife and daughter, the neon glow of the nightstand alarm clock throwing eerie shadows around our room as I stayed alert for signs of Charles and, yes, Effie.